Now the F1 season is just weeks away from starting, and ahead of the new season, I thought over the next few weeks it'd be a good time to think about what the championship will look come Abu Dhabi, I'm presuming, in December. So I'm going to start off with the Constructors Championship today. Let's stop talking and let's get straight into it. And at number 10 and last in the championship, I think will be Williams. But I think this will actually be a solid year for Williams. I don't think they'll be anywhere near as bad as where they once were at the beginning of last season. And I think they can really start pushing onto the midfield and definitely close the gap a bit. And I think Russell should hopefully be getting his first points in F1 this year. And it'll be interesting to see how Latifi does. But I think a better year in store for Williams, but still not good enough to take them off the bottom. Number 9, Haas. I think they'll retain a similar position to last year. They didn't look particularly brilliant at pre-season testing, and then since then with the factory shutdown they won't have had a lot of time to develop the cars. And I think their driver lineup may not be good enough to compete with the likes of Pierre Gasly or Kimi Raikkonen in midfield. I hope I'm wrong, but I can see it being another pretty turgid year for Haas this year. Number 8, Alfa Romeo. I think this will be a tough year for Alfa Romeo, but I think what they're going to do is they're going to put all of their resources into 2022 now and hopefully try and be competitive then and maybe sacrifice next year or two. So I can see it being a couple of years of pain for Alfa Romeo, which is why I've got them in 8th of the championship. But I definitely think they'll show flashes of competitiveness and maybe they could push forward in the next season or two. Number 7, AlphaTauri. I think AlphaTauri will go well this season actually. I think they'll be leaders of the so-called lower midfield. They look good in pre-season testing, and I think Red Bull will put a lot of money into this team actually. Rebrand, and we've seen what Racing Point have done with Mercedes. I'm expecting something similar with the AlphaTauri and the Red Bull. So I definitely think they'll be competitive this season, and I can see them doing well. I think they've got good drivers, so I can see them heading up the lower echelons of the midfield. Number 6, Renault. I can see this being a very, very disappointing season for Renault, with their star driver already announced he's leaving before a wheel's been turned, and there doesn't seem to be much good faith between Daniel Ricciardo and Cyril Abiteboul. I think this could be a tough year for Renault. And with Racing Point looking like they've got a gem of a car, I can see them dropping down another place and it just being a miserable year while they try to rebuild in 2021 ahead of the new regs in 2022. Number 5, Racing Point. I think Racing Point will start off the season comfortably the 4th fastest team with the pink Mercedes. However, I think eventually McLaren will catch up with them and just about pit them, as I'm worried about their lack of development. I think they've just gone for the full-out car and there's not much they can develop really based off the Mercedes. So I think McLaren will just about pit them, but this will still be a great step forward for Racing Point as they become Aston Martin next year and will definitely give them a lot of confidence. Number 4, McLaren. I think this year for McLaren was supposed to be about closing the gap to the top 3. However, I think they're going to have a real battle on their hands with Racing Point, with Renault behind them in pretty much no man's land. I think it will be tough for McLaren this year, but as I said, I can see them just pipping it, as I think they'll be able to upgrade the car faster, making them stronger for the final races, and they'll just about pip it. Despite the fact Carlos Sainz has already announced he's leaving, there still seems to be good blood there, so I can see them continuing the progress and still having a successful season before Danny Rick joins them in 2021. Number 3, Red Bull. I'm sure many of you are thinking Ferrari would be here because it has been suggested Ferrari do have the 3rd fastest car by a long way. However, I think Red Bull have one major sticking point, and I don't want to sound harsh, but I don't think Alex Albon is good enough to be number 2, and I think he might cost Red Bull 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship, like Pierre Gasly, which is why I think Ferrari's superior driving lineup might just get them 2nd place. But I think Red Bull will start off the 2nd fastest team, and then eventually they'll fade away. Number 2, Ferrari. Without a shadow of a doubt, it'll be close between Ferrari and Red Bull for second place this year. However, I think Ferrari will just about have it, despite being the third fastest car at the beginning of the season. We've already heard that they've got new gearbox and engines ready for Austria, which is already a statement of intent, and I'm sure by the end of the year, Ferrari will have a car that could even be on the level of Mercedes. So I think they'll just have enough to pip it. And the fact they've got 2 top drivers there, I think should help them in their cause, even if Sebastian Vettel may be slightly unmotivated. And the winner for the 533,000th year in a row, if that's even a number, Mercedes. Yes, what can you say about them? They're just miles clear of the rest at the moment. The team is just levels above any other. 2 drivers who know their role, everyone knows their role. No reg change, and they've come to pre-season testing better than ever with a new DAS system or whatever. So I think Mercedes will win the Constructors' Championship quite comfortably this year, maybe pulling away at the beginning, and then maybe they'll get clawed back at the end like last year. But they'll have such an advantage, I can see them just waltzing away with the title, really. And that's it. Those are my predictions for the 2020 F1 Constructors' Championship. Let me know what you thought about them in the comments below. Maybe remember to like, share, subscribe. Links to Twitter in the description below for pretty much daily F1 news. And subscribe to my other channels on screen that are going to come up in a moment. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.